How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Trading Places. This is from 1983 and was directed by John Landis. It stars Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd, and of course, being a Halloween fan, can't forget about Jamie Lee Curtis. This was actually kind of the role that got her out of just being in horror movies. She was thought of as a scream queen, but she wanted to expand her career, and John Landis insisted on having her in this movie, and then after that you got to see her break out into a wider array of genres, so a very important movie for her. Anyway, we're covering this now because it's December, and this is a Christmas movie, although kind of a more alternative Christmas movie. Think movies like Gremlins or Die Hard, where it is Christmas. Christmas is part of the plot, but it's not as super important as other Christmas movies. It's just kind of, there, But that being said, in the climax, we do get Dan Aykroyd dressing up like Santa. Well, not quite the final climax, but towards the end. Dan Aykroyd dresses up like Santa. He's drunk and insane and waving a gun around. And you do get a scene where he's on the New York City subway, and he pulls a fish out of his coat and starts eating it, but it's all tangled up in his beard, and everyone's looking at him like he's crazy. There is some funny Christmas shenanigans in here. Actually, this movie, a large part of it's Christmas time, but I think the end of the movie is actually around New Year's. So this is probably, I feel, a good movie for that time after Christmas, but before New Year's. That kind of awkward week of time that no one really knows what to do with. It's Christmassy enough, and in that time there is still Christmas in the air. But like I said, this movie does go into New Year's, so I think that's really a good time of year to watch this movie, and I'll try to schedule it between Christmas and New Year's, this review. But anyway, I'm a big John Landis fan, and I wanted to go watch more of his stuff. And being completely honest, watching this movie for the review was actually the first time I had seen it. I really like Landis' stuff. He and Eddie Murphy would team up again later to make Coming to America. That was a really good movie. I'm a horror geek, so of course I love American Werewolf in London. But also I really do like Kentucky Fried Movie. That's just big, over-the-top insanity, and I really do love it. Plus some Grindhouse throwback stuff. So I wanted to watch more John Landis stuff, and this was a good opportunity to do that. And overall, I had quite a bit of fun with it. I don't think it's the best comedy ever. I know that there are a lot of people that absolutely love this movie, and when it first came out, it made a ton of money. It was a pretty big hit, I think the 4th highest of the year. And I thought this was pretty good, but I didn't think it was quite the big over-the-top laugh a minute I was hoping it would be. John Landis, Eddie Murphy, and Dan Aykroyd all have done movies that are more like that, more big, over-the-top, and crazy. And I was kind of hoping it'd be more of that. But even though it's not the funniest thing ever, it does really have an interesting plot. Sort of a modern remake of The Prince and the Pauper, where Eddie Murphy, who's poor, and Dan Aykroyd, who's rich, are forced to trade places with each other, and it does take a look at the social political scene of the time, and it is very interesting in that regards, the two of them adapting to their new surroundings and trying to figure out the mysterious hands that put them in their new places, and also Dan Aykroyd seeing Eddie Murphy living in his house, and there's his butler, and there's his car, and who is this guy? And that's really fun, Dan Aykroyd trying to figure out who Eddie Murphy is. And it's a lot of really cool and interesting stuff there, so I really did like it. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and talk a bit about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few of the plot points, and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this movie's about. We open up with Dan Aykroyd. Very rich, very successful, but out of touch and snooty, He's not initially likable, but this movie is gonna push him to some extremes, and we see why he's set up this way. so that you get when he goes crazy, you know? And when he goes farther and farther, he becomes much more of a likable character when he's pushed to extremes. But anyway, he works at a firm that does commodities investment, and he routinely makes his bosses lots of money, and for the most part, they like him. But one day, he notices on the payroll a big check going to a name he doesn't recognize. The bosses brush him away, oh, don't look at that. But maybe this is a step towards being on their bad side. Anyway, one day he's coming out of a rich and exclusive club, and he happens to bump into Eddie Murphy on the street, and even though Eddie Murphy didn't mean anything, he still freaks out. He's like, take whatever you want, just go, leave me, leave me. And of course the police show up, and it leads to a big chase scene throughout this rich and exclusive club. You know, comedic, wacky, and over the top and whatnot. But Eddie Murphy gets arrested, and Dan Aykroyd's bosses see this, and they begin to have a debate about Eddie Murphy. Would he always be the person he is because of who he is, or if he was put in a better spot, if he was given more opportunities, would he become rich and successful like Dan Aykroyd was? So they're doing the whole nature versus nurture debate, and they decide to turn it into an interesting bet. They go behind the scenes, and they sabotage Dan Aykroyd's life. They take away his job, they send him to prison, they freeze his account so he doesn't have any money, and they chase off his fiancée, so he's all alone at the bottom, and they bet that he is going to become a criminal. Then they take Eddie Murphy, they bail him out of jail, they give him Dan Aykroyd's old house and old job, and they give him lots of opportunities and money, and they take him into the company to see if he'll become a successful businessman. And you get to see the two living in each other's worlds, you know? Dan Aykroyd, really initially not suited for the street, he goes to his friends at the club, and he begs, he's like, can someone please give me some money so I can fight this legal stuff and I can get my assets back? And these people who thought, you know, he thought they were his friends, one of them stands up and goes, I can't believe you came in here and embarrassed us, and shoos him out, you know. So everyone he thought was a friend, not really good for him. But of course, this is where we get Jamie Lee Curtis's character coming in. She's a prostitute, and the bosses pay her to go and talk to Dan Aykroyd while he's talking with his fiancée, and that of course chases the fiancée away because she thinks he had been having an affair with this prostitute. Now, after she does that, she sticks around and talks to Dan Aykroyd, and, you know, even though she's gruff, she's not being really nice to him initially, you see that she's actually listening, and, you know, despite her gruff exterior, she's actually one of the few people that seems to care for this guy when the whole world cast him out. So it is sort of, you know, the character that didn't have anything to do with this plot initially, becoming a very important ally and resource. I really did like Jamie Lee Curtis's character in this movie, and it was really cool. But of course, the best part is Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, this is good old R-rated Eddie Murphy, and you can see why him and Landis would work together again later on with Coming to America. Really did good here, you know. He's playing a homeless beggar person, and he's got one of those furniture movers, you know, like a board with some wheels on it, and he's wheeling himself around on his hands, begging for money, saying, I was injured in the war, my legs don't work. Then the cops pick him up, and he stands on his feet, and he goes, why, it's a miracle, my legs work again. You know, really, really funny stuff, and some great over-the-top moments. But they take him to his new life, they show him the house, and he is really not buying it at first, you know. He starts trying to steal things like, just, I'm going to make a little profit off of this. And they're like, you don't have to steal it, it's yours, we're giving it to you, you're taking it from yourself. But he is really suspicious of this, you know, and they take him in, and I do like that they write that his street smarts do help him on this job. You know, they try to explain to him what a commodities investor is, and they think it's going to take him a long time to catch it, but he just goes, oh, I get it, we're bookies. and he's on board. He understands it now. And then they start to say, okay, I think we should sell these here. And Eddie Murphy's like, no, I understand what these people are going to do. He's afraid he's going to behave like this. We need to wait a minute. And they do say that, you know, he's got street smarts. He understands how people behave. And I really do like that they say, you know, people are people. And these two worlds may not be as different as you think they are. And Eddie Murphy's skills in one help him out in another, you know? So I did think that was really interesting. But you do see these characters adapting to their worlds. And at first, Eddie Murphy, he wants to go and show off his success. He throws a big party in his house. But halfway through the party, he's like, I don't know if I really want to hang out here anymore. I don't like this party anymore. And he shoos everyone out of his house. And you get to see him changing to that richer, more proper person, you know, and you get to see his world affecting him there. And it's really interesting. Towards the end of the movie, they do start to try to figure out the plot more, try to figure out the checks, try to uncover why they've been put in these new situations. And actually, even though all the covers, they show Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy together, they don't really see each other till the final act of this movie. And I do really like when they get to bounce off each other more at the end. In the end of this movie, it does go for a more traditional comedy approach, a bunch of big chases and a random gorilla that gets thrown into the mix. And, you know, there's a lot more laughs to be had at the end. But at the same time, I do like the thoughts and ideas from the first part. So I do like where that came from as well. So, you know, it is pretty cool there, but it does become much more of a regular comedy towards the end. But I did really like that. Really, really fun. Not my absolute favorite thing from Landis, but I really did like it, and a good movie for this time of year. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist at the bottom. If you guys want to see more, you can click there and see more. It'll probably be my Christmas playlist, so if you guys want to see more reviews for Christmas movies, you can find them there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.